Yeah, welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the moments that force us to tell ourselves the truth and choose who we are becoming. Today, I'm joined by Veronica, or Nebizadeh, uh, known as Beatles Weary While Whisperer. She's an author, Anthony, and divorce mediator who help women find clarity when their marriage hurts. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, Arobanaya. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, battle weary wife. I'm a battle weary wife whisperer.
Oh, yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. So Veronica, what were some of the challenges that shape you into who you are today?
Well, the biggest challenge was my marriage. I'm still married. It'll be 26 years on February 19th of this
Wow.
month. Yeah, 26 years. So my biggest challenge was my marriage. And that was the start of me waking up to who I serve and finding my purpose in my life. And I'm happy to expand because I can talk forever, so I'll wait for your next question.
Yeah, amazing. Also, Veronica, what was the moment your daughter asked you to make the argument stop, and how did that change everything?
Well, I didn't wake up and decide to be a relationship expert, but I became one the moment she begged me to make the arguing stop. And she was 4 years old. And it was in that moment that I realized I was doing to her what I promised never to do is not provide a safe environment in which to grow. And that moment changed everything. And out of that moment, uh, a, a breakthrough just of, well, it was how I came up with Stop, Drop, and Roll Baby. And I knew when my 4-year-old daughter was asking me to make the arguing stop, I couldn't put that responsibility on my husband. I knew I had to do something about it because she asked me. So I stopped escalating the arguments and I dropped out of the battle zone whenever I would feel that whoosh of wanting to argue back or one up. And then I would roll into self care. And it's not easy to do. And I failed a lot of times, but I always went back to my daughter's image, tear streaked
Hmm.
face. And I'd pick myself up again and I would stop, drop, and roll.
Amazing, amazing. I must say a very big thank you to her. Being that with the little star, which is the tears coming out from her eyes, she was able to kind of say, "Mommy, please, let it stop."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So how did
Yeah.
your marriage as spiritual practice bring you back to yourself?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that question because it's become my tagline. I have marriage relationship restart, helping you turn your battle weary marriage into a spiritual
Yeah.
practice. And it really, some people go to church every Sunday or they go to yoga 3 times a week. And I decided that I would look at my husband and the pain and the misery that I felt, that I would surrender, not to give in and allow myself to allow myself to be a doormat, but I surrendered the anger and the righteousness and the neediness for my husband to understand me, for my husband to validate me. I Approval is a hollow altar, and I came back home to myself every time I rolled into self-care, and I found the younger part of me that was really needing my attention. And that's how I call it a spiritual practice, because I just kept calling back all those parts of me that were still hurting for my attention that I had no idea about. And every fight or every time I felt that, I would stop, drop, and roll. And I'd go back home to myself. I'd figure out what happened. Why was I not able to stay centered? What part of me needs my attention? What part of me needs my love? And that's why it's a spiritual practice. And that's how I
Wow,
came back home to myself.
wow, amazing. That must have pretty be more like difficult at the first time. And the fact that you're able to cope for later on was really amazing.
Yeah, it's the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. But if it wasn't for my daughter, she was my leverage to keep doing the work. I have one child, and every time I would fail, because it's not old patterns die hard. They die hard, and so I, so I'm laughing now because I can. I'm on the other side of it,
Yeah, so true.
But, yeah, it was because I had this beautiful, precious child looking at me to be the wise adult that I always knew I was. I just kept getting triggered. And when
Yeah,
I took radical responsibility for what was occurring within me, that's spiritual to me. And I didn't wait for my husband to change. I changed. And because I changed, my marriage became, from battle weary to relationship strong. And and it, and I'm a full, I'm living proof that it can be done. And I
yeah,
and I love
man.
my husband.
Yeah, amazing.
So
So glad to hear this. So what does
yeah.
it look like when a woman slowly abandons herself in a marriage?
Well, first, if she's distracting herself from the pain that's occurring within her, if she's numbing herself to shopping, to eating, to exercising, to drinking, to being busy, that's a sign of abandonment. If there's fear and she avoids it by doing anything else, that's a sign that she's abandoning herself. If she can't say with loving firmness, I'm sorry, I really want to hear what you're saying right now, but when you yell like that, I can't stay present. Could you lower your voice? And so if she's not able to stay centered, she's abandoning herself. And so I learned to stay connected to myself, have those loving and firm boundaries, communicate from a loving place. All of that took practice. That's why I looked at my marriage as a spiritual practice so I could stay present and I could stay centered and I could stay connected to myself. And I just feel like, hey, relationships are where the rubber meets the road. And so that's why I formed Marriage Relationship Restart. And it's why I wrote my book, Don't Throw in the Towel Yet. And I have a little postcard of
Mm,
my,
don't throw it out yet.
I love this
Amazing.
so much. This beautiful
Yeah,
lady. And I just, want to share it with everyone. And I became a relational life therapy coach and a relationship boot camp facilitator. And I just, now this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, is to tell my story and help people if they're willing to do the work.
yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for what you do out in saving marriages. That at the break of more like breaking out, and yeah, it's really amazing. I love it. So how can a wife tell the difference between a rough season and a painful partner?
A rough season, life throws its curveballs. So,
Yeah,
we're entitled to, weep, cry, get angry. Um, it's when we're in that pattern and it's the same argument over and
okay.
over. It's then it's different. So if life throws you a curveball, you weather it. You stay loving, you ask for support. Hey, can we connect again? I don't like what just happened. I want to connect with you. We're going through a rough patch. Can we be more supportive and gentle with each other? But if it's the same argument, the same being right, being controlling, retaliating, blaming, shaming, judging, having unbridled self-expression, those are patterned responses. And that's the rough patch.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. So you create this stop, drop, and roll baby technique. How does it help
Yes.
in the heat of conflict?
Well, okay, so in America in the 1974, there was this big public service where the firefighters would come to all the elementary schools, because back then all the kids were their toys, their pajamas, their blankets, their curtains were flammable. And we had our children were dying in fires. So this public service said, okay, we're going to teach the firemen. They came in with their big yellow hats and their big, yellow jackets with their fire hoses and their fire extinguishing equipment. And they taught the kids, hey, when you're on fire, stop what you're doing, because if you don't, you're going to fan the flames, and then drop to the ground, because you've got to save yourself from the smoke. If you stay in the smoke, you're going to inhale it and die. And then when you roll on the ground, then you're going to roll on a carpet or a blanket to extinguish the flames. So that works. that stop, drop, and roll works when couples are on fire too. So you stop the moment there's an escalation, just stop talking. And then you drop out of the battle zone. I'm sorry, honey. I teach my wives in my workshops. I have turnaround workshops for wives and women
Yeah.
in committed relationships. I teach them, put your hand over your mouth, because when you want, when you, the conflict is there, you're going to want to yap, yap, yap. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Put your hand over your mouth and leave. Drop out of the battle zone and then roll in to self care and extinguish the flames and find out what's really happening inside that's preventing me from staying present and centered. What's going on inside? What am I feeling? And then, hey, go for a walk, dance, journal, do something to get the energy of the emotion out, and then do your reflection and calm yourself down and get back into center. And you do that as a practice, and it
Yeah.
works. It's the best technique I know to de-escalate conflict.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. I think it's really lovely being that uh when those emotions pile up owing to conflict and everything, you just have to find a way of releasing it, and you just make reference of, yeah, downs, do other things other than allowing the conflict to actually more like degenerate to other things. Yeah, just go ahead, go into some sport activities and let it serve as a valve to actually cool that particular emotion. It's really amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Emotions are meant to be expressed, not in
Yeah.
verbal form, but they need to, they're, energy in motion, emotion. And so, yeah, allow them to express out. And neuroscience tells us, within 60 to 90 seconds, even the darkest, heaviest emotions, they go away, they
Yeah.
surrender,
It's
they release. And so
yeah.
sometimes in the heat of the moment, I used to have my cell phone and I'd be, okay, 60 seconds, I'm still angry. And then they
Amazing.
would,
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Also, when a husband refuses therapy, what power does the woman still have?
That was my case. That was my case. My husband refused therapy. He was okay for me to go, but not him. He's like, I don't. He didn't need to go. He was not the one that was miserable, and so it really is when a woman empowers herself to change herself, that is ultimately what can change the dynamic of the relationship. So I do. I call my wives battle weary wives. Most of them are married to husbands that don't want to talk. They don't want to go to therapy. And so I help them become clear in what they want, and they have confidence. And then when they have that empowerment and they are stop dropping and rolling and they're healing, then they can stay lovingly firm. Hi, honey. I love you. I made an appointment with us to talk to Veronica, and then eventually they will join. And my husband finally, after 2.5 decades, started doing his own inner work, and I didn't need him to change. The cycles were stopped,
Yeah.
but he saw, wow, okay, I want to experience that kind of peace too.
Amazing. Amazing. I think it's the fact that you did yours and he already saw the outstanding change. And now it was easier for him to just buy into it other than the forcing and pushing it around. I say, yes, you
Yeah,
must get kind of
yeah, and I told
yeah.
him, I said, "You're so lucky because you have a sane wife." I did it the hard way because you were not doing it when I was doing it. Now I'm sane and I'm awake. I'm taking radical responsibility for myself. I'm not foisting all my inner child onto you. You have it so easy, so you're welcome.
Thank you. So, as an Anthony and mediator, what do you wish women understood before making this stay or go decision?
To think about what's the best interest for them, and if they have children, what's the best interest for their
Mm,
children. And I want them to if the woman is not in physical danger, or the kids are not in physical danger, I say wait before you throw in the towel. Can you do some personal development work? Is there some healing that can be done? If she cannot stay present and centered and speak from that place, she needs to wait and do some work, and find someone like me who's been there, done that, and can help her.
yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you for what you do. Yeah. What is the best thing that could actually more like could do different? Yeah, I think it's a very lovely way of looking at it, rather than just throwing the towel and discovering and some years along the line. saying that I wish I would have waited. It's really amazing. Yeah. So what
Yeah.
does clarity actually feel like when a woman finally finds it?
Peace.
Hmm.
It feels peaceful, and it feels resolved, like resolved, and there's no urgency. It's like, I have to get out of this marriage, there's no urgency. It's just,
Yeah.
I know what I need to do, and I'm going to take radical responsibility, and I'm going to end and honor this relationship, and take my healing, and do the best I can be for my children. That's one way. Or it's, I'm here because I love my family. I'm here to take responsibility and be that light and be that leader for my family. So it's a choice, but that choice comes from, from peace. So clarity feels like peace.
Like peace, like peace. Yeah. Thank you so much, Veronica.
You're
So
so
Veronica,
welcome.
for my audience who wants to reach out and get your book, what is going to be more like the takeaway from it, when they get to kind of read before throwing the towel? Don't throw the towel yet. Yeah. So what is going to be more like that takeaway when they actually get?
This is the book cover, which I absolutely
Yeah.
love. So what they're going to get out of this book, so this book is speaking to the wives who are at that terrible crossroads of, should I stay or should I go? If I stay, I'll be miserable. If I go, I'll break up my family. What's going to happen to my kids? If I stay, am I going to make am I going to pass all this craziness to my child? That deliberation is painful. Speaking to that woman who stands at that crossroads. So part one is my story. And part two has 11 techniques, including the stop, drop, and roll, and
Mm,
including knowing about the 7 relationship saboteurs. But there's 11 tools that I use to come back home to myself. And then the third part of my book is, okay, if you decide to stay, here's your next steps. If you decide to go, here's what signs you look for in your children to see that they are emotionally okay. Here's what you look for. And I gave different ages and what things to look for. And here's the legal system. Here's if you're going to go the adversarial route, this is what the court looks at. And if you want to go the non-adversarial route, these are your options. And here's what a parenting plan looks like. So I teach her and I walk her through all the preparation that she can do on her timeline, with peace, with step by step, each one of them, right action, right timing. And she's staying in that resolved space. So I help her make that decision, and I lead her down the way to her decision, whether that's to stay and thrive or go with dignity and grace. And then when my book is published on June 2nd, I have an 8-week course to have a deeper dive, and we go over all of these chapters together, and we spend that time together.
yeah. Thank you so much, Veronica. And yeah, this has really been amazing. Somehow I just feel like, oh, shouldn't this episode be dedicated to your daughter, being that she was able to spark that particular consciousness and say, Mama, please, can you just stop the argument? Yeah, it's really amazing. So Veronica,
Yeah.
what would be your final words to single women out there, single men too, who have not actually more like committed yet? But the fact that the stories they are hearing around about breaking up, and it really, really somehow so traumatizing, and some of them are really saying that, are you really sure? Should I actually say I do at any time at all? Hearing those stories and everything. So what would be your single words there?
A single word? I would say, if you feel lonely, then don't commit to a relationship. You're self-abandoned. You just don't know it. If you're looking for a partner to make you feel whole and complete, stop. That's not the reason why to have a partner. Go back home to yourself, because you already are whole and complete. So get crystal clear on what it is you want to experience. Is it co-creating a life together? If that is really and truthfully, not because I want to be financially stable, not because I want to have children, not because I want to feel complete, not because I want to finally start living my life. None of that. You know yourself, and know that you are whole and complete, and you're looking, and I would say, do your inner work, because when you do your inner work, you attract people who are also on the same level as you. You also say, and don't look for completion in a partner. No, be radically honest with yourself. Do I feel whole and complete? by myself? If the answer is yes, then you're ready for a relationship. You're ready to commit. But if there's any hesitation or any fear, then there's some inner work that needs to be done. Because then you'll do what most couples do, and at least in America, and this is a big statement, so I want to take responsibility for what I say. But when I'll just talk about me, when I got married, I couldn't wait to be a wife. I wanted to have that role. You know, I wanted to have children. I wanted to have a life, and I wanted financial security. That was not a reason to get married. So to co-create a marriage, to experience life together, to support each other in their own individual goals. Respect is the minimum of love. Can I respect myself even when I fail? Yes. Then I can respect my partner when they fail. So just all of that, I don't know that I could put it in one paragraph or one word, but that's what I would say is know that you're whole and complete and be willing to co-create and communicate. This is what I want to experience. Is this something that you want to experience? And be
Okay.
open and transparent.
Communicate. Yeah. And cooperate. Yeah. Thank you so
And
much. It's
and get
really,
rid of expectations.
yeah.
So a lot of releasing. Just release expectations, and
Yeah.
even cultural or indoctrinations, social, just release all of that and just know that you're a person with come in presence. Come in
Yeah.
present. Be present.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you. I
harder.
think,
That's hard.
yeah. So thank you so much. Definitely, I'm still going to be coming back to this last question. With that, anytime I want to
Okay.
get married, I'll be like, what does Veronica have to say again? Let me just listen and actually get this particular vibe. Yeah. Thank you so much. So Veronica, for my audience who wants to reach out to you, who wants to get your book, and who wants to connect with you, how can they reach out and where is the best platform?
Please reach out to marriagerelationshiprestart.com. And if you want to get my book, please, I would love for you to join my watch list. I have a QR code, but if you go to marriagerelationshiprestart.com, then you look for the book tab, then you can sign up to be on my watch list and be notified the moment and you can download a sneak peek right away, which I think is a really amazing chapter. You're going to naturally fall in love with me, and the women there will go, okay, that's my sister. I can learn from her. Her story is my story. So I would encourage them to go to my website and join my watch list and download a sneak peek of my book.
Yeah, thank you so much, Veronica, and thank you for your honesty, wisdom, and compassion. This story reflects the making of me. And yeah, the link to your website is going to be on the show notes for my audience, so actually reach out. Yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Once again, a pleasure and honor. I'll be on the show, Veronica.
Thank you so much. It was so much my pleasure, Arrow Benaya.